Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Nabia. The University of Lahore organized International Conference on Advances in Allied Health Sciences, organized by Dr. Saeed Pro-Rector, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, Dean, Dr. ASHFAQ Ahmad, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, and Dr. Shahid Bashir, Head of Department, University Institute of Food Science and Technology, the University of Lahore.
मस्जिद नबवी के मीनार नजर आए, अल्लाह की रहमत के आसार नजर
warmly welcome our chief guest, Dr. Shahzad Alam. Thank you very much, sir. Professor Dr. Mahr, Nisa, Ms. Nighat, Jawad, join 5-10 minutes, and all our speakers, international speakers, Dr. Stella, Dr. Basma, Ellahi, Dr. Omer, Dr. Lorenzo, and our national speaker, Dr. Shahina Naz, and other Dr. Dr. Saeed, and all we cover all the provinces and all the cities, major cities, our department, the local institutes, and food science, offering food science and technology. I think this today's session will be very informative to our students and our faculty member to gain recent advances in the field of food science and technology. And at the last, I'm thankful to all the partners, Pakistan Science Foundation, PHEC, HEC, and our sponsors. Main sponsor of this conference is again Global Alliance for Improved Teacher. I'm very thankful to Dr. Fazal for the support of this bringing the international speakers and for the financial support to all organizations and all the conference. Thank you very much, and again welcome to all. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It's a real pleasure to be here with you this morning, and I would like to say my thanks to Dr. Shahid Bashir for the work that we do. We have a nutrition and dietetics department, which I formerly had in its early days, and also we have a strong food science connection. And around 10 years ago, we received some European funding to build what we call the Northwest Food Centre, which is fully equipped with state-of-the-art facilities to enable food analysis, sensory analysis, and all manner of services for the food industry. And this kind of has a bit of a business function with a focus on entrepreneurship, which I know is also a strong feature in much of what you do here in Pakistan. There's all the indicators that there is high levels of mortality, which will link to some of those diseases, and all changeable if we change our diet. So here's some data from the UK. We can see that over the years, the number of men and women who are overweight and then obese, and in different age groups, is increasing. And it's not an inevitable consequence of aging to put on weight, okay, to become obese. People become obese, it's greater than the energy that they're expending. And obviously, as we get older, we might, in some communities, do less exercise. Alarmingly, in the UK, 2/3 of men are overweight or obese, and women are catching up. About 60% of women are overweight or obese. What we also know is the more deprived the area, so if you're in a low income, low education, low employment area of the UK, something that we call the indices of multiple deprivation, you can see that people are more obese in those areas. So poverty or low income has an impact on levels of obesity too, but it's not just about income.
Which is the Food Systems Dashboard, which is a tool for, it's kind of a one-stop shop for visualizing and analyzing data about all aspects of food systems. And I'll tell a little bit about the process of developing the tool, but mostly I'll spend my time talking about how you might use the tool in your own work, and I hope that it will prove to be useful to you in your research, your teaching, and your learning. So before I get into the details of what is the Food Systems Dashboard, it's helpful to talk a little bit about what are food systems. Food systems basically are, as written here, the interconnected system of everything and everybody that influences and is influenced by the activities that bring food all the way from the farm where it's grown to the fork where it's eaten. So this encompasses a lot of things that you work on in this department and elsewhere in the university. It encompasses agricultural production and even agricultural inputs, but also everything that happens in the middle of the food supply chain around food processing, eventually food when it's retailed, in the food environment where consumers meet it and make choices, and also what those choices actually are. All of that has to do with the food system. Why do food systems matter? Why is it important to take this approach to looking at food in this holistic way? Well, this is because we have a number of challenges that are emerging from food systems, and we're beginning to see increasingly how these are interrelated. So in the area of diets, nutrition, and health, we see that about 750 million people are affected by hunger. At the same time, about half of the world's population, over that in many developing countries, suffers from a micronutrient deficiency. And then the final point here, which is very similar to what Basma was talking about, is that poor diets are a leading cause of ill health related to obesity and non-communicable diseases. And all of those challenges related to diets, nutrition, and health have many of their roots within the food system. But we also see that there are a number of challenges related to environmental outcomes. So we know that about a third of global greenhouse gas emissions are coming from the food system, with food production and food waste. We also know that food systems are responsible for numerous other negative environmental consequences, such as damage to biodiversity and to water systems. But at the same time, food systems can be a powerful lever for positive environmental change. They provide essential services that support ecosystems, and they can be used to help protect biodiversity. And there's also numerous opportunities for mitigation of climate change within the food system. Policymaking, we need to have sound evidence on food systems and the data to support that. But in the past, those data have often been fragmented. So you can see the picture.
First of all, we all seem to be pretty normal here and healthy people, but if you have any iodine deficiency, your IQ will be the first thing to drop. So your capacity to learn and study and understand is hindered. So therefore, that's why we always want you to use iodized salt, but don't go and start using a lot of salt, because that's not, you just have to have that little bit every day. So iodine deficiency leads to cretinism. The picture in the middle, that's the fellow with, who is stunted and mentally and physically retarded. But the tragedy lies in pregnancy, where you can have spontaneous abortions, stillbirths, and birth defects. So these are the tragedies of iodized salt, because once a child is born, in this case, there's nothing you can do about it. So iodine deficiency is the single most cause of mental handicap worldwide, and it is all preventable in a very simple way. This is an interesting brain cell scan. You see the top pictures are of sufficient iodine, and you see all the branches are nice and thick, whereas when there's iodine deficiency, you see the proof of much less branching. nowadays we are in quite a fix with these wars going on in Ukraine and Russia. Radiation. Therefore, you should make sure that you are iodine sufficient in this case too.
Was also one of the areas where these floods produce a lot of bad outcomes. This slide primarily shows you that entire Pakistan was almost hit by the floods. You can just see on the slides that 50,000 to 1,30,000 houses were damaged in certain areas of Sindh. Likewise, the entire Balochistan was hit and affected by the floods. And KPK was also affected by the floods. But you see, a part of the Punjab that remained safe, but entire Pakistan was hit by these floods. And you see that how many houses they were damaged and collapsed due to. Once the house is damaged, you know, the residents, the dwellers are badly affected by these kinds of situation. This is a pictorial representation of the flood. Situation is very bad in those areas in Pakistan, particularly in Balochistan, KPK and southern Punjab. And people have no food, no shelters, no water, pure water, and they are really suffering so many foodborne pathogenesis and waterborne diseases, and they have no supply of sufficient food at the door. We got so much support from the development partners and from the government of Pakistan. Even then, the situation is very distressing in those areas.
Special thanks to our sponsors. Study Icon, Kershi, Adam, Dr. Isa Laboratory, Park Alpha, Gain, UNICEF, VN Medics, Upfront, Tripad, Rays, H.A. Shah and Sons, Haji S. Amin Dean and Sons, Youngs. Thank you for your cooperation and your support. This expo is about to end. Thanks to all our participants and special thanks to Queen Dr. Shahid Bashir. And see you in the next one. Allah Hafiz. जल्दी करना अब special thanks to Pro-Rector. मैं काट लूँगी क्लिप से पहले नबिया जल्दी कर लो से पहले मैं कसम से अच्छा special thanks to Pro-Rector. मैंने को नहीं याद किया मैंने कसम से मोबाइल तोड़ देना है मेरा तो टूट गया है जल्दी करो माहिर हूँ मैं मोबाइल उड़ाने में तुम्हारी मैंने कसम से मैं हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट अच्छा रुको इस तरह से मैं कट कर लूँगी ठीक सेफ एंड